Could I have your attention, please? Back again. Thank you. So I'd like to kind of end with seeing if you have any questions, and then I want to say a little bit to you about the importance of communication and share with you some resources we've provided to help you, hopefully to save you a lot of time and help you be really good communicators, and then talk about several ways you can get parishioners involved in the process. So, but before I do this, are there any questions that you have from what we've talked about? I know this is a lot of information. It's really meant to introduce you to the planning guide and to the process. But any questions that would be helpful for you to get answered tonight? Yes, sir. Okay. What you have to do as the next steps in the process? Okay. So the next steps for you are to, after tonight, hopefully you've scheduled at least your next core team meeting or two. It's to begin the process of parish self-evaluation. So for the next few months, your focus is just within your own parish. We'll be kind of taking the information on cohorts and organizing it and giving it back to you as a first draft, but your focus is to begin the parish evaluation process. And what I want to kind of share with you is also another step that's really important, is that you communicate with your fellow parishioners. We'll talk about that next. Any other questions before we go there? You're okay for now? I'll stay for a few minutes after if you have other questions. So let's start if we could. Actually, I want to go back to the... So first, just point 4 here. My role is to help you as you move through the process, so I'd like you to note my cell phone number there, 206-947-1055. It should be in the book, but in case I didn't put it, I know my email is there. My email, it's actually in blue there, hard to see, but jreed@thereedgroup.biz. Or there's an 800 number, if that'd be more helpful to you, 800-916-3472. So what I would simply say is if you have questions about next steps as you're moving along, feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to call you back as soon as I can. I'm not sure the phone number is, so it's probably good to just put that down. So again, the cell phone, 206-947-1055 or 800-916-3472. I often think of this as the helpline. If you need help, this is where you call. Okay? Then if you could join me in the first section on page 10. So the first section of the first tab, let's say, on page 10. So what we've done here is to give you about 13 pages of resources in terms of communication. You know, they say in real estate, it's location, location, location. In planning, in lots of ways, it's communication, communication, communication. So we give you some information on page 10 about background on the project. You could use this in your bulletins, for example. On page 11, particularly toward the bottom, a number of goals for the process. They're also on the screen. We would suggest to you as core team members to help people recognize and understand the reasons for the change. That's really the goals of the project. That's the bishop's letter. From time to time, we'll be collecting frequently asked questions, and we'll give you back in email updates answers to questions so that you can pass them on to fellow parishioners. We encourage you to update the parish community regularly. The worst thing that can happen is that a year from now people say, I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know we're talking about the future of our parish. So the way we avoid that is by you being excellent communicators. The third one is more important really when you get involved in the cohorts, and that is that people share the same information. But the fourth one up there, correcting misinformation and controlling rumors. So somebody came up to me last night at the meeting and said, I've heard the bishop has already made certain decisions about which parishes are staying open and which parishes are not. My honest response to that person was, if I believe that, I would resign this moment as a consultant. I know that's not the case. And the bishop would not act that way. But if that rumor is out there, this is a waste of time, they already know what they're going to do down there, your job is to say, not true. Or at least to call me and say, is it true? And I promise I'll do my very best to get you accurate information. So controlling rumors and managing the communications process. For the sake of our time, there's some nice things here about working with the media on page 14, about some communication messages. But I'd like you to turn with me to page 18. What we've tried to do is anticipate what you're going to need to be good communicators. So look, beginning on page 18, we give you sample bulletin announcements. So announcement number 1, could be about the process. It could be about once you have cohorts or who's on the core team. It goes on to announcement 3, 4, 5. What are the criteria? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 13 different weeks of bulletin announcements. So we don't want to limit your creativity. So feel free to change this however you want, but it should give you a running start. And again, you can download all this right off the internet beginning next week, so you can cut and paste and then make your own bulletin announcement. In addition to that, right after that on page 20, there's general intercessions. So it's really important that people not just read about it, but like the bishop's invitation to prayer, so a chance for the community to pray about planning tomorrow's parishes. So we've given you a number of weeks worth of 14 in all right here of prayers of the faithful. Again, you can do them in whatever order you want, but it's an invitation for people to pray with the process as well. So just to kind of honor the goals and some of the methods of communication. So another thing, look at this list. From town hall meetings, you can gather people, and I'm going to show you a sample agenda in a moment. Question and answer sheets, small group meetings, newsletters, website updates, parish bulletins, pulpit announcements, surveys, lots of different ways to get people involved in the process. So again, the first words I said to you was, your job is to see all the work gets done, not to do all the work. This is part of what I mean. But let's go one step further. If you go to the third section, the first page after the blue pages. Okay, so I'm on page 1 in that third section, right after the long form, and it says ways for the core team and the parish pastoral council to involve the parish. So there's approach number 1 is a parish assembly focus, where you get people together. Some parishes do 2 assemblies, some do 4. So you might do an assembly just on sacramental life, then on catechesis, lifelong formation, then on justice and stewardship and so on. Other parishes take 2 at a time. But you can invite people together, and as somebody said last night, the best way to get people together is to also have some nice food and cookies like Alice and Tom been providing over there. So then you get people to come, and they give you the input, and they get more involved, and it makes your job a little bit easier because you're not having to generate all the information. Number 2, a second approach, some parishes like to create task forces. They even take, let's use this group of 5, and we'll let Father stay there for a minute, and you wind up being the coordinator of the task force on sacramental life, and you on catechetics, and you on justice, and you on the 4th area, and therefore you get other people on the task force, they do some work, they bring it back to this table. So a task force idea works for a number of people. Turn the page. The third one is a parish audit. This one is not used that often, but it's been used very well. That a parish hires someone, or sometimes has somebody who's a consultant within the parish, and they're just like, would you volunteer your time to help coordinate us in evaluating things, so that you don't have to, again, do all the work. Somebody else helps organize some information with you. Number 4, the core team and work groups. You just get a variety of work groups. You might have, one parish I know did 2 work groups for each area, and they worked on different areas. One studied the music in the parish, another the way the training for sacramental ministers was done, etc. And the 5th area that is popular in some places and then hated in others is another survey. But what we've done is to give you a sample survey on pages 3 and 4. So we don't mean this is the only questions you can ask. It just gives you a running start. Here are 12 questions on pages 3 and 4 in this section. So if you wanted to survey your parishioners and say, what do you think about different areas of the parish? Then you gather that information and you have a lot more information to do your work with. So these are just meant to kind of stimulate your own creativity and say, what do you think would make sense for you? Then I'd like you to look at the green page just after it, finally page 5. And I want you to know about these people. So they're called diocesan parish facilitators. These are people that the diocese has identified who are skilled. No, we're in the wrong section now. No, we want to go all the way at the end here. Yeah, the green page right there. There you go. There you go. I'm sorry. There was 2 sets of green there, Father, so I made that harder. But this is really important. Facilitators are people that you can just call me and say, hey, we're going to have a town hall meeting a week from Tuesday, and we'd like a facilitator to lead that meeting so all of us can engage in the conversation. And we met with them the other day, our team did, and have trained them. We've given them sample agendas for meetings, and so their job is to come in at no cost to you to facilitate meetings. And so they facilitate town hall meetings. Sometimes they're asked to facilitate core team meetings. So maybe you have important conversations, and rather than have one of you be the facilitator and then you can't put in your own ideas, you have somebody else there. So please know that these folks are here. They're chosen because A, they have skills to facilitate groups, B, because they're comfortable around conflict, not going to run for the door when that happens, and C, their focus is not to tell you what to do. Their job is to help design a process with you so that you have really good meetings. So you can use these folks right now. If you need them, all you need to do is to give me a call and I'll line them up. I have 6 people for the central region ready to be of service. Again, there's no charge to you. So this is really a commitment by the bishop to say he wants to provide you as many resources as he can so that you can do the important work you're doing. All right? So there's more in this book, but we're not going to stay beyond 8:30. That'd be terrible. I want to thank you very, very much again for coming tonight and invite us, since we prayed an Our Father in the beginning, how about if we stand and close with a Hail Marys?